Hi, I'm Hannah Hudson, and I'm going to talk a little bit about word choice, which was chapter 6 in our Creating Writers book. So, word choice was something that really spoke to me because recently I have been working a lot with word choice. I'm a senior class sponsor at the school that I work at, and at graduation every year we have the president the senior class president do a speech, and so he has come to me for a lot of help to kind of figure out what is going to be the best. And a lot of times he's really good at writing and then finding places where he knows that it can be better. So we've worked a lot with word choice lately, and how effective that can be. And his whole speech has really just taken off because of this. So I decided to look at word choice. And word choice is super important for writing because the words are what make meaning. So if there's something that we want to get across in writing, which is why we write to begin with, we want to make sure that we're using the correct words to get that point across. They help us convey a message. They can create voice in the process. And so voice and word choice really can go hand in hand with a lot of the information that we're learning. Okay, so what does word choice look like? So readers will always want to connect with the writing, right? So that when we read, we're reading it for some intended purpose. Sometimes we may not want to read what we're reading, like if I'm reading about, a scientific journal about a certain new bacteria that they found or whatever it might be. But normally we want to always understand where the person is coming from or where the writer is coming from. Usually when we read for enjoyment, readers are going to crave descriptors that really help us see a place, be taken to a time, or understand the relationship in the story. Word choice can create that voice and help us do that. So there were a ton of examples within the books, and when I looked online, there were a bunch of more examples as well. So I decided to go ahead and give my own little shot at trying to take a basic sentence and make it a little better. So my basic sentence that I wrote was, "We walked through the woods. We were very cold." That's an okay sentence, but it's not something that really grabs your attention or anything that you would want to maybe read this whole story. But something that could make it a little bit better could be something like, "We walked briskly through the woods as the icy chill rattled our bones." That's a lot more descriptive, but of course, that's not the only way that we can approach this. And so what's really cool about word choice is that you could give a basic sentence to your students, and every student in the class might have a different way of coming up with a better way of writing. And so a lot of this is going to be very open-ended, but really exciting as well. And so as a word choice model, I am a super big fan of Harry Potter, as I'm sure several of you are. And one of the reasons of that, not only was I the perfect age, I was in first grade when the first book came out, but I loved being taken to this magical place that I had never thought of on my own. And if we think of kids, especially when they're really little, they have great imaginations. And so the more detail we can give, right, the better that their imaginations are going to run with it. So I'm going to read this, and then we're going to talk a little bit about it. So it says, a low, soft hooting came from a dark shop and with the sign saying, "Ilops Owl Emporium. Tawny, screech, barn, brown, and snowy." Several boys of about Harry's age had their noses pressed against a window with broomsticks in it. "Look," Harry heard one of them say, "the new Nimbus 2000, fastest ever." There were shops selling robes, shops selling telescopes, and strange silver instruments Harry had never seen before. Windows stacked with barrels of bat spleens and eel's eyes, tottering piles of spell books, quills and rolls of parchment, potion bottles, globes of the moon. So this was one of my favorite parts of the Harry Potter book, that mainly because that's our first introduction into the wizarding world. He goes into Diagon Alley, he sees all of these awesome things, and you are placed right there in it. You can see these things. You can see the tottering books, the barrels with spleens and eel's eyes. All of those things are really awesome. She does a really good job as well as she moves forward, especially when they go and look at Hogwarts for the first time. That's a great piece to kind of share with your students to say it's a lot easier to to see if you describe all of the different parts of the castle, but if you just say they went across the boat to the castle, it's not nearly as exciting. There's a ton of examples that you could use. A lot of children's books do a really great job, or even adult books, on giving a lot of these examples. And so there were some books highlighted in Creating Writers on the pages 169 to 171 if you wanted to see more of those. So how does word choice unfold developmentally? Well, this is one of those things that in all the sources that I read, it's going to take a really long time to really create a writer that thinks strongly about word choice. However, the more students are exposed to vocabulary, the more books they read, the better their word choice is going to become. It's a very long journey. They're going to get better with age, just like a fine wine. They're going to really think about the world a little bit more, or understand the world around them, to really kind of look at different descriptors and gain a stronger vocabulary. And so word choice is not something that they're just going to pick up in a year. It's something that they're going to continue to develop even past school. Even, I'm 26 at the moment. I'm still improving my word choice in life when I write. So it's something that will continue throughout their lives. Word choice instruction. I read quite a few different things, but they all kind of boil down to these points that I have on this slide. One of the best things that students can do, and you can do for students, is read, and read some more. So the more that they get exposed to how powerful words can be, right, a powerful word in a sentence, the more that they're going to understand the importance of word choice. And you really want to be very specific in choosing your passages, because you want to be able to discuss those examples and think about, this is a great descriptor, but what if it wasn't so great, right? And that leads into that non-example category of show them sentences that aren't very strong, but then show them how can we make those better sentences, and giving them the opportunity to do that will kind of help, figure out word choice a little bit more. You want to make sure that you're having your students read with intent. So maybe instead of you picking out all of the passages, have your students pick out some of the passages, because then they're going to be really thinking about what is a strong example of good word choice. And then, of course, expose your students to more vocabulary. There's a ton of vocabulary instruction all on the internet. There's Pinterest boards with vocabulary instruction. One type of vocabulary instruction that I read in Creating Writers that I really liked was the word of the week. And so you're having students pick an individual word out of a hat, and then they're going to explore that word in as many different contexts as they can. They're going to write it, they're going to read it, they're going to pronounce it, see how it's used in sentences. Where does it come from? Are there any root words or things like that? And so that really kind of helps build their vocabulary, instead of just throwing a bunch of instruction or vocabulary terms in them every single week, where they might forget it and move on. So there's a whole lot on word choice, and it's so interesting. And I really suggest that you guys kind of go out and look at some different examples for word choice lessons. So I have a couple links that give you more information. The first one is going to be the word choice outline. So it's kind of my thoughts and my information. There's a lot of strategies that I linked in there that can help you plan lessons for word choice. And then the second one that was really great is this website that has a ton of articles, lessons. They have videos, everything that surrounds word choice. So it's a really great resource for you to go as you're thinking about teaching writing instruction in your classroom. However, that's all I have for the moment. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks.